My name is Ricardo Medina. I'm a signalman for Norfolk Southern Railroad. Uh, I had an instance where I went on an emergency trouble call. Now, we're not required to go on trouble calls, but it's more of a volunteer thing. So I went on this trouble call and I couldn't find a problem, and I ended up running out of time. Uh, so the following day, I was approached by a management trainee that he basically told me that I violated some rules and that I was going to get a verbal reprimand for violating the rules. So I was very angry about that. And I wanted to fight about it. And in my mind, I was projecting and plotting out all these things. I was going to make my supervisor pay for that. And it was my supervisor that chose to pursue that action, because I did ask the management trainee whose decision was it to pursue this action. And of course, he told me it was my supervisor. His name is Kevin. Uh, so I had plotted out all these things on how I was going to punish him and and make things expensive for him every time he dealt with me. Uh, so as I talked to the management trainee, I told him that I'm out here working hard. I'm doing my best, and I get punished for making a mistake. And I can look to one other individual in particular who gets a lot of latitude, who doesn't really work. He does basically nothing all day, uh, and they don't do anything about it. And here I am doing my best, working hard. And did I make mistakes? Sure, I did. Uh, but rather than to stop and say, "Hey, let's talk about what you did. Let's talk about what happened. Let's talk about uh, your mindset and why you made how you made the decisions you made. And then let's talk about how you can make better decisions in the future, or how we can have different outcomes in the future that are beneficial for everybody." I said that's the way this should have been done, because the way this is being done now is you're skipping a step. Our agreement, we're a union environment. Our agreement states what the process for discipline is. You have a conversation with the person. The idea is to educate them and to uplift them and help them become better employees and not make the same mistake again. So angrily, I said, what you guys did is you skip a step and you go immediately to discipline, and that's what seems is your way of managing problems. Immediately go to discipline rather than talking about it and helping me not make the mistakes again. Uh, so I said, you're skipping a step, and what that does is that affects my discretionary effort. How motivated do you think I'm going to be to go out at 2 o'clock in the morning to do a job that I don't have to do? I said, how do you think that motivates me? How motivated do you think I am going to be to put in that extra effort that you're always asking about? Hey, let's put in that extra effort, 110%. I said, how motivated do you think I'll be? And of course, he didn't have any answers. And I said, I'm not going to be very motivated because I don't have to. I'm only going to do what I have to do. Now, if that's what you want, then this is the best way for you to get it. You're going to get a drone. I said, is that what you want? Do you want a drone that I only do what I have to do and I only do what I'm being told to do? I said, that's not productive. That's not a way for us to all move forward. So I told him, I am Kevin and I are going to have a conversation. And he looked at me and I said, look, it's not that kind of conversation. The kind of conversation that you and I are having, this is the kind of conversation I'm going to have with him. And so that meeting ended, and I was still very angry and upset and hurt. He said he would let me know. But in the interim, what I was doing was uh, I was pursuing it like a conflict. And conflict in the past I used to view as negative, but conflict actually is an opportunity um, to get to know the other person better and for them to get to know me better. So I was still plotting out my attack pattern. Um, I historically viewed a conflict as a chess match. So I would plot out my attack plan, and it was an attack plan. In advance, I would plot out the counterattacks and counterattacks to the other person's counterattack. It was a battle, basically. That's how I was viewing it. So I felt like he was avoiding me, because it took like 3, 4 days before he finally came to talk to me. But the idea was that I went in there with all these battle plans and the way I was going to attack him, the way I was going to punish him for for what he did to me, basically a victim mentality, what he did to me. And I went in there loaded for bear. But I quickly found out as we started talking that I was the bear. And it's something I didn't expect because he backpedaled on some things. And there was slight disappointment on my part because I really wanted to fight. That's what I went in there for. I wanted to fight. Um, but the big question too was, well, what am I fighting about? What am I fighting for? So what what occurred to me is that I was fighting to have my yearnings met, and the yearnings was to be seen, to be valued, to matter. Do I matter to him? And am I just a number? I'm just an employee. Am I just a body to throw at a problem? Uh, that's certainly not how I perceive myself, nor do I want to be that way. So as he had some pushback, which I actually did like that he pushed back. Is in other encounters that I'd had with him, he backpedaled really quickly, and and I started losing respect for him. Uh, because either you stand up for what you did and back what you did and why you did it, or is it just going to be this backpedaling all the time that means nothing? And now I mean even less because he doesn't even care enough to tell me why he did what he did or what his perspective is. But as we talked, uh, I quickly realized that my yearnings were met. I was seen, I was valued, and I did tell him the same thing I told the management trainee that you skipped the spot, you skipped a step, and I did articulate that to him. I said, look, you don't need to hold discipline over my head for me to do my job. I do my job because I like doing my job. I want to do my job, not because you're threatening me with discipline. So that that doesn't motivate me. I'm not motivated by that. In fact, it's the opposite. Now I'm only going to do what I need to do my job, and that's it. And anything extra, unless you tell me to do it, it's not going to happen. And my discretionary effort will be very low because of that. That makes a very unproductive employee. And that's not something I want. I don't want to be unproductive. I like doing my job. I do it because I enjoy it, not because I'm being forced to it, not because all I want is a check. It's what I want. It fulfills my yearnings. So the point was I didn't believe I was going to make a corporate shift like that instantly. So there wasn't anything more for me to pursue. But the important thing for me there was that I was I was encouraging him to make a shift in that attitude between he and I. And really, that's where it starts. Is the change starts from me in how I pursue things with company, with my employers. How I pursue conflict with them. If it's just a fight, they're going to fight right back, and we're not going to get anywhere. And it's going to all it's going to do is perpetuate the current culture. So, will I be successful? I don't know. But somebody's got to make the first move. Somebody's got to take that chance because if nobody does, nothing ever changes, ever. And we're still back in the same merry-go-round, unfulfilling job. Uh, and I do have to say that things are not as good as they used to be with the company and the employees when I started 11 years ago. But the big thing for me right now is that I have the highest satisfaction I've ever had in my job. And and it's really because I sought to have that job satisfaction. It's not because they changed things. It's I changed things. I changed how I perceived my job. I changed how I engaged other people, and particularly management, because that's where the big conflict usually is. It starts with me.